Hello, everyone, and welcome back to week 3 of CDL predictions for Major 2. I'm going to go and say it right now. We are looking at a good ratio. I found my average for some reason. I tend to get about 7 right and 4 wrong. But we're going to go and talk about what we did get wrong in the past weekend, which I'm not going to lie. The last weekend of COD was very, very awful. Besides one series that was it was the last match of Sunday last week. So let's go ahead and get into it. I want to go ahead and address the losses. You'll see those pop up on screen here from my notes app. Whenever I make these videos, I start typing in my predictions instead of going through the last video and just manually putting them. But the first match is Toronto versus G2, which I knew that Toronto was going to lose the LAT, but I didn't think them to 3-0 G2. So I got that one wrong. And then Carolina versus Falcons. I don't know. Again, it's that fucking curse. We've been seeing it throughout all these videos. Every time I go against Falcons, they turn up. But whenever I go for Falcons, they just get shit on. So I don't know. I don't think it's really anything to do with the Carolina camp, but I don't expect Carolina to really be competitive this split. And then after that, I don't know what the fuck I was smoking, but I decided to put Boston versus Surge, Boston beating Surge, sorry. And I don't know what I was thinking there. I just thought that Surge were just that bad. I mean, again, this is like coughing baby versus coughing baby in terms of like how good these teams are. But Boston is just horrible. You can ask a lot of COD personalities like in the podcast space, like Breaking Point, The Flank, this and that. You'll hear them criticize Boston because that camp, it's just a friendship camp. It's a friendship league for them. They're just cashing a check. Nasty should be on a far better team. To go ahead and get the roster mania news out of the way, Cammy has been dropped from Boston, and Spart from Telluride Bush is coming in to take that Boston spot that is now free. I don't think it will be enough to really change how good this team is in the league or change their competitive rating in terms of like what teams they can beat. But I mean, it can't be worse than Cloud9. They were playing scared against OpTic, and obviously I predicted that. But the last matchup that I got wrong was FaZe versus G2, which for some reason G2, they just have this ability to take FaZe to a game 5 and then win the game. It's a dirty Neslo. They are the kings of Nesloing people. If you don't know what a Neslo is, go look it up. It's pretty much you lose both respawns, but you win the third and you win both S&Ds. That's why people say S&Ds win championships. That's what a Neslo is. And for some reason, they are phenomenal at pulling off a Neslo against FaZe. I don't expect that to really affect FaZe going into these matches. But speaking of, let's go ahead and get into those. I just wanted to address those few matches. We'll probably end up doing that going forward, just, you know, to talk about it and see if I can learn going into next week's predictions. We are going to go and start off with absolutely awful Call of Duty with Ravens versus Breach. I do not think that Spart is going to be enough to really make this team like a top 4 or top 6 team, but it's also Ravens, which Ravens, they've been kind of inconsistent. That's Ravens' problem. They show a lot of potential. That roster has a lot of potential, but I just don't really know if they care anymore. I'm going to go ahead and just say Ravens, just because I don't think Spart hasn't been there long enough to really have enough chem to know their routes, their strategies, which I don't even know if they have any strategies. But I'm just going to go and say Ravens. It'll probably be like a 3-1 maybe. Boston could probably sneak away a search, but I'm confident in thinking that Ravens beat Boston here. So I'm going to go Ravens 3-1. Next up, we have Falcons versus FaZe. I swear to God, if Falcons end up popping off against FaZe, I might have to swallow the bottom of a pool, like or the bottom of a lake of some watery substance. A large amount of water will be going down my gullet because I do not see Falcons beating FaZe. With that being said, I do think this might be a competitive series, just because Falcons, for some reason, they start heating up and then they'll slow down. Then they'll heat up and then they'll slow down. FaZe might if you let Falcons start off hot, they'll carry that through the whole series, and then that is what might lose FaZe this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and say FaZe. I'm going to go ahead and say 3-2, just because I have a feeling FaZe, they aren't going to start off hot. They don't have a tendency of starting off hot, especially nowadays. So I'm going to go ahead and say FaZe win this. But again, if Falcons win this, the curse is real. The curse is real, and I'm just going to have to expect an L every time I predict these motherfuckers, because I never know who's going to come out. I never know if Cell's going to pop off, if Kismet's going to pop off, if Exnid or Pred, if everyone's going to be just pop and take over. I don't know what to expect from this Falcons roster. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the safe pick and go with FaZe. And hopefully it doesn't bite me in the ass. So I'm going to go with FaZe 3-2 over Falcons. And then this is another sleeper, honestly. Generates versus Cloud9. Cloud9 is a challengers team. They're not even a good challengers team. I was hyping them up because I saw the potential individually and like encourage in Okiz. But Okiz, I think, had like a 0.7 something in the last like set of matches last weekend, which is just not what you want to expect. But Cloud9, they aren't funding this camp to where they can actually buy competitive players. You have challengers players denying Cloud9, like denying a league spot because they don't want to play for that camp. That camp is lost. So I think Gentlemates win this 3-0. I really don't see Cloud9 making this a competitive series at all, which sucks for them because their schedule is just absolutely horrendous for the rest of the split. You got to think, like, do you stay for the rest of the major and then just go from there? Or do you just straight up blow it up? Because, like, look at these percentages, dude. Like, what the fuck are we on, man? Like, just red across the board. Last 5 matches, like, just it's fucking rough, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably gonna be a Gentlemates victory here, but I wouldn't be surprised if just we see Cloud9 just get 3-0, 3-0, 3-0 for the rest of the split, and I don't even know if they qualify for Major 2. So Gentlemates 3-0, not much to write home about here. Starting off Saturday, we have Falcons versus G2. I really don't know, just because seeing how G2 plays against FaZe, you'd think that they would easily beat Falcons. But again, like I said, every time I go against Falcons, they end up turning up. But considering who they just beat, I'm going to have to lean more towards G2. So I have a feeling it's going to be a 3-1. I don't know why. I don't know what map G2 are going to lose, but I have a feeling it's going to be G2 3-1. Especially because Falcons, for some reason, they are very good at stealing a first match hardpoint or an overload. I don't think they're really that good at search, which is funny because Clay is their coach, and I can't talk. Clay is very good at search himself. That was like his best mode whenever he was a pro. So I'm going to say G2 3-1, but I don't know. I'm fully expecting Falcons just to be like, yeah, you're fucking stupid. We're going to go in 3-2 them or 3-0 them or something like that. So I'm going to go G2, but I don't know, man. That Falcons roster is an enigma. Now we have Toronto versus Miami. Toronto. I don't know if we can really say if the Kips experiment is done because it literally just started. But I also never count Miami out, and my stomach is telling me that Miami win this, so I don't know what map count. I really don't. I have a feeling Miami pull this out, but of course I'm not going to say 3-0, but I don't know if it goes map 5 or not. I really don't. Okay, I'm going to just send it and say Miami win 3-2. I have a feeling they're going to sneak at least one respawn. I don't know if it's going to be the overload. Actually, it'll probably be the overload, and they'll probably win the searches. If that's how I could see Miami beating Toronto, but Toronto also just isn't the best hardpoint team. That's what I'm saying. Like, this point of competitive COD in the season, it's kind of weird to talk about anyone outside the top 4 because you never really know who's going to show up and who's going to have a bad day because COD is a day-to-day game. So I'm saying Miami win this. I'm going to say Miami 3-2. Next up, we have Surge versus Ravens. I'm going to just say, based off of how Surge has been playing, I feel like they're kind of catching a little bit of fire with TJ. But, I mean, this is just a sleeper series, honestly. I'll probably be, like, faintly tuning into this one, but I'm really looking forward to the OpTic LAT one. I'm going to just go ahead and say Surge beat Ravens 3-1. Just because there are a couple series here that I really just don't know how it's going to turn out. You literally just have to watch it and see who sells first. It's not a matter of who's better. It's who makes the first mistake and who minimizes mistakes. So I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and say Surge 3-1 against Ravens. Now this is a matchup that I think everyone's going to be tuning into. And it's very, very nice. That's the last one. It's OpTic versus LAT. I think that OpTic win this 3-1. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to go and say 3-2. Just because Neum has been such a upgrade for this roster. No hate to Kenny, but I think Neum fits in a lot better with this camp. in terms of just personality, in terms of how he plays Call of Duty. I think that he is really going to be the X factor here. If he can shut down Mercules, then this roster might be able to sneak out a win versus OpTic, but I just don't see that. Mercules, he's had very few bad series. Very few. And whenever he does have a bad series, he bounces back 3 times harder. And he just absolutely shits on everyone. I'm talking 3.0s in S&D, 1.5s, 1.6s in Respawn. So I'm very confident that this OpTic team, they know how to play against LAT. I'm very confident in not only just Mercules, but I'm also confident in Hook. Hook is like the one person on the map that's like a ghost. He is very easily the most annoying player to play against, but he's also the loudest voice on that OpTic roster. Honestly, I would be bold enough to say that he is the unofficial captain of this team. Gashati, I think, is the captain in name only, but I feel like Hook is the one making the play calls and all that stuff. So I think OpTic win this 3-1. No, 3-2. I said 3-2 earlier. My fault. I thought 3-1 initially, but I think this goes to game 5. I'm very excited for this matchup specifically because the shit talk afterward is going to be phenomenal. So OpTic 3-2 LAT. And then to start off Sunday, we have Toronto versus Genomates. I mean, it's Genomates. They won the last major. They have shown why they are so fucking dominant at this game. There's not really much to talk about here. Toronto can put up a fight, but I just don't think they'll be able to beat Genomates today unless Genomates literally like play 3v4. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep it short, sweet, to the point. Genomates 3-0 Toronto. Nothing really to write home about here. Same thing with the next matchup, FaZe versus Boston. This is the DoorDash series. FaZe are going to 3-0 Boston. Again, Spart is not enough to match the firepower of FaZe, despite them being 2-2 by the time that we're recording this, which is a Thursday. I just really don't see Boston bringing enough to beat this FaZe team, even after potentially losing to G2 or potentially losing to Falcons. I really don't see that happening. It's a fever dream. FaZe 3-0 Boston, short and sweet. Same thing for Miami versus C9. C9, they are just a mid-pack challengers team. So Miami, this is gonna be their free +10 for the weekend. I don't see them having any trouble against Cloud9. And I guess the only thing I really talk about when it comes to Cloud9 is whether or not they decide to put more money into funding their COD side of like esports operations, so that way they can actually get players that are either really good or entice players to come and play for them from challengers. Because right now, if you go to Cloud9, you're more than likely going to hurt your stock, and then you're going to not do well in the league. Then you're going to go back to challengers, and then it's going to take forever for you to get back into the league. So I really, really am praying that Cloud9 decides to put more money into their Call of Duty side of operations, so that way they can at least make it competitive. I'm not like a big Cloud9 like brand fan, but I just want competitive Call of Duty. And I hate just being like, oh, this is a 3-0. Oh, this is a 3-0. Oh, this is a 3-0. Surge versus OpTic. I think this will be another 3-0. I'm more confident there's going to be 4 3-0s on Sunday, because when it comes to Surge and OpTic, I don't see Surge really matching OpTic's tempo. I don't see them matching the firepower. I don't see them matching the passion. And I don't see them matching the strats of OpTic. Not the glaze, but I just feel like OpTic, they easily win this. There's not really a lot to really talk about here. I love TJ, but in terms of just how this roster is, comprised on Surge, it's not really, it's not speaking to me like, oh, they have the potential to win this. Like, fucking, look at this. Like, they haven't even played Blackheart. They have a 50% win percentage on Den. OpTic, that's like their worst overload map, but it's not really too much to write home about. And the only team that they really lost to is Genomates, and that was at the major. So I'm not too worried. G2 was the only team that could take them to game 5. So I'm not too worried about OpTic's ability to beat Surge. And Surge, they're only beating Carolina and Boston. So it's like, what are you going to do? But I think it's going to be an OpTic 3-0 on that one. And that will end week 3 for the CDL Split 2 qualifiers. Next matches are March 6th. So we'll have a video out for that weekend as well. And I think we have one more set of matches before the major, or I think it's the major after that. I'll double check and let you guys know. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. Let me know who you have winning this weekend down below. Who do you want to see win? Who do you want to see lose? I would love to hear about it. Other than that, you guys have a safe rest of your weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed the matches, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.